Here is a list of the most compelling comments we have received in the last 5 days. Want to get on it? Leave a constructive and positive comment below to increase your chances, and we'll choose the best ones. Single man becomes a foster father, changing the lives of kids all over the world. Some people in the world have a heart too big to contain the love they hold inside, and it is a blessing when their love spills over to the world, changing the lives of complete strangers. Peter Mutabazi is one such person. Peter didn't have the greatest life. In the beginning, he grew up in an abusive home in one of the poorest areas in Uganda and was often left to starve, leaving him unsure when he would get his next meal. "I grew up where no one told me to dream, and there was no future for me," he said in an interview with Good Morning America. Thankfully, that all changed when Peter was 15. He was rescued from a life on the streets and was provided with both education and a place to grow in the US. One simple act of kindness from a woman earned her the title Mom and changed the life of Peter forever. This woman has been there for me in more ways than I can count. When I come around, she always has a home-cooked meal and a warm bed for me, Peter said. She's been my listening ear through my highs and lows, and much, much more. Today, Peter lives a happy life and found success in running his own construction company. And with the new stability in his life, he decided that it was time to continue the chain of kindness that had started from his American mother. For this reason, he decided to help other kids and began applying to be a foster parent. Of course, with his big heart and kind nature, it didn't take long for him to be approved, and in the weeks leading up to his first foster child, Peter kept himself busy with the remodeling of his home and the endless paperwork to ensure that the kids would have everything they needed. Luckily, even as he was swamped by all the work, he is also surrounded by the love and support of his friends and coworkers throughout the entire process. Beyond just creating a new porch and completely redecorating his kitchen, Peter also took cooking lessons from some of his mom's friends so that he would be able to spend more time with his kids and make scrumptious meals. "Whether it's spent sharing a meal or burning the bacon, I know it'll be memorable and I know we'll spend it as a family," Peter joked. And as the house starts becoming more like a home, Peter has no idea that the opening of the doors to his home would be the start of a new and wonderful chapter in his life. After 4 months of preparation, the house looked picture perfect, just in time for the kids' arrival. Pretty soon, Peter would be able to call himself a foster father and start using the house to watch movies, hang out, and play with all the kids that need it most. But more importantly, he planned to fill the house with unconditional love, in the same way the family that saved him all those years back had done for him. And as soon as Peter opened his doors to his new home, 2 beautiful children entered his life just weeks of each other. He first welcomed an 11-year-old boy and then a 5-year-old boy. In his words, Peter says, "Nothing can prepare you for this. The house has felt like an amusement park being operated by only me, the single employee. So worth it though, because for me, it's already been an emotional high, some great fun, and a huge learning experience." A month after he entered Peter's home, the 5-year-old foster child left to live with his relative, but the emptiness didn't last long, and soon a 4-year-old brother to the 11-year-old arrived. What a special reunion that was, which Peter helped to do. He was quickly learning that being a foster father was not only full of challenges, but also full of meaningful moments just like these. However, times change, and about 6 months later, the brothers were cleared to go back to their families, and Peter finally had to go through the challenges of having attachments, which he summed up with 2 words: bittersweet love. But their leave would only initiate the arrival of a young boy who would change Peter's life forever. 11-year-old Anthony, or Tony for short, arrived at Peter's loving home a month later. He had been part of the foster system since he was 2 years old and had been adopted at the age of 4. Unfortunately, his adopted parents then abandoned Anthony at a hospital when he was 11 without a word. In the beginning, he was only meant to stay there for 2 days, but that all changed when Peter heard his story. "Once I knew the parents' rights were signed off and he had nowhere to go, I knew I had to take him," Peter said. And that was the beginning of Peter and Tony's inseparable bond and the start of a chapter that would tie them to each other. Once Peter realized that Tony would be staying, he did everything he could to make him feel welcomed and loved, and the two instantly became a family. But this didn't mean that Peter did not have more love to give. Throughout his time in providing a home for Tony, Peter continued to welcome 2 more foster children into his home and learned many new skills along the way, including how to give a haircut without making his children feel embarrassed about their looks. However, even as Peter gave his love to all the children equally, he had a special bond with Tony, which just continued to grow. However, according to the system, Peter was still considered a foster father and not his permanent guardian. But they were both ready to change that and make their father-son relations up more official. Bring on the paperwork. After months of anticipation, on November 12, 2019, Tony's adoption day had finally arrived. By this point, he had been living with Peter for almost 2 years, and despite his past hardships, he was ready to embrace Peter's love with open arms. "I was chosen, I was wanted, I was cherished. I grew in his heart, I was the missing piece, and I'm loved today despite my shortcoming," Peter wrote in an emotional Adoption Day post. He had officially gone from foster father to legal father and couldn't be more overjoyed. Although Tony is left without answers from his birth parents and his first adopted parents, he can now feel confident that he will be forever loved and cared for by his new father. Tony's foster care worker, Jessica Ward, was another person who experienced great relief after Tony's official adoption. Peter's story all around is beautiful and amazing. Because of the age Peter was when all the things happened in his world, I feel like that's been such a connection for him and Tony. Soon after Tony's adoption, the brand new family also had another emotional day ahead of them. On November 23, 2019, Peter finally became an American citizen, and he continued to give back in many other ways. For one, he works with the nonprofit organization World Vision United States, doing what he can to assist kids living in vulnerable areas around the world, and also visiting Rwanda to reach out to the kids in need. Through his foster father journey, Peter has made countless memories with all the foster kids which had come through his home, providing care to 11 children while filling their lives with kindness and love, something that Tony was happy to help him out with. No matter how many challenges he faced, Peter says, "It's been worth each great hair and sleepless night," but maybe he doesn't quite know what more's waiting for him. Now that Tony has entered his teenage years, Peter is running into a whole new list of challenges as a father. I'm convinced that teenagers are from a different planet. Hormone fluctuations and mood swings are likened to Oklahoma winds or Colorado snow days, completely unpredictable on any given day, Peter wrote on his Instagram. Despite this, the good times and the love and trust he feels from Tony make it all worth it. "I just can't imagine life without him," Peter continued on the same post. "I hear this whole teenager phase will pass, and I pray, Lord, give me a little more patience each day." Don't worry, Peter. We're sure most parents would agree with you on that.